Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Divorce Lawyers podcast brought to you by DivorceLawyers.ca. I'm Deepa Taylor. Today we're delving into a critical aspect of family law in Ontario, the Office of the Children's Lawyer, or as many of you might know it, the OCL. For those navigating the complexities of a separation or divorce, especially where children are involved, understanding the role of the OCL can be crucial. So whether you're a parent, a legal professional, or simply someone interested in the intricacies of family law, this episode is for you. Before we get started, let me provide a bit of background. The Office of the Children's Lawyer is a government-funded agency in Ontario that plays a significant role in legal proceedings involving children, particularly in cases of custody and access disputes. Today, we're going to break down how the OCL operates, what services they provide, and why their role can be pivotal in family law cases. Let's begin with the basics. The Office of the Children's Lawyer, or OCL, operates under the Ministry of the Attorney General. Their mandate is to represent the personal and property rights of children under 18 in a variety of legal proceedings. This can range from custody and access disputes in family law to child protection cases. The OCL can become involved in a case through a court order. Typically, this happens when a judge sees the need for an independent investigation into the child's circumstances, or when the court believes that the child's voice needs to be heard directly in the proceedings. There are two main types of appointments that the OCL can make, and these are crucial to understand. First, there's the Section 89 appointment under the Courts of Justice Act. This is where the court requests the involvement of the OCL and appoints a lawyer to represent the child's wishes and preferences. This lawyer acts as an advocate for the child, ensuring their voice is heard in the legal process. The second type of appointment is under Section 112 of the Courts of Justice Act. Here, the court requests that a clinician, often a social worker, be appointed to conduct a thorough investigation and prepare a report on what they believe to be in the child's best interests. These clinicians are professionals with extensive experience in child welfare and psychology, which enables them to assess the situation from multiple angles. Now let's talk about how the OCL becomes involved in a case. Generally, this starts with a judge making an endorsement, a formal request for the OCL to take on a case. However, it's important to understand that the OCL isn't obligated to accept every case that comes their way. Given the resources at their disposal, they often have to be selective about which cases they take on. For the OCL to agree to get involved, the case typically needs to meet certain criteria. High conflict cases, those involving allegations of abuse or neglect, and situations where the child's welfare is at serious risk, are more likely to warrant their involvement. The court's endorsement usually outlines the issues that need to be addressed and why the OCL's involvement is necessary. However, even with an endorsement, the final decision rests with the OCL based on their assessment of the situation and available resources. So, what happens once the OCL decides to get involved? If the OCL appoints a clinician for a Section 112 investigation, this professional will conduct a comprehensive review of the case. This includes meeting with both parents, the child, and potentially other relevant parties like teachers or family members. The clinician will gather all necessary background information, which might include medical records, school reports, and any previous involvement with Child Protective Services. On the other hand, if a Section 89 appointment is made, a lawyer from the OCL will be assigned to represent the child. This lawyer's role is not to decide what is in the child's best interests, that's the court's job, but rather to ensure the child's wishes and preferences are clearly presented to the court. It's a role that can sometimes be challenging, especially if the child's wishes don't align with what might be considered in their best interests. It's worth noting that this representation can be crucial in cases where the child is old enough to have a formed opinion but may feel unheard in the court process. The OCL lawyer helps ensure that the child's voice is part of the decision-making process, giving them a say in matters that directly affect their lives. Now, you might be wondering about the costs associated with the involvement of the OCL. The good news for families is that the OCL's services are funded by the Ontario government. This makes it a more accessible option compared to private assessments, which can be costly. However, the OCL's involvement is subject to resource limitations, meaning not every request for their involvement can be accommodated. Let's walk through what happens after the OCL agrees to take on a case. Whether it's a clinician or a lawyer, the appointed professional will begin by introducing themselves to all parties involved. If it's a clinician, they'll start by gathering all relevant information and meeting with the child in a neutral environment, like their school or another safe space, where the child feels comfortable expressing their thoughts and feelings. This process can be extensive, often involving multiple meetings and interviews to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the child's situation. The clinician might also conduct home visits to observe the child's living conditions and interactions with each parent. After gathering all this information, the clinician will prepare a detailed report. This report is then shared with both parents, their lawyers, and the court. In some cases, there might be a disclosure meeting before the report is finalized. This meeting allows the clinician to verbally present their findings and recommendations to the parents and their lawyers, providing an opportunity for clarification but not for argument. It's important for parents to know that the disclosure meeting isn't a place to challenge the findings. It's more about understanding the clinician's perspective. If parents disagree with the report's conclusions, they can file a written objection within 30 days. This objection becomes part of the official court record and allows the parents to express their concerns formally. The OCL may review the objection and, in some cases, update the report or stand by their initial findings. One of the more complex aspects of the OCL's work involves distinguishing between the child's views and preferences and what's considered to be in their best interests. When a lawyer is appointed to represent a child, their role is to present the child's wishes, even if those wishes don't align with what might be deemed as their best interests. This can create a challenging dynamic in court, especially if the child is older and has strong opinions about where they want to live or how they want to spend their time with each parent. In contrast, when a clinician conducts a Section 112 investigation, their report focuses on what they believe is in the child's best interests, based on their professional judgment. This difference is crucial for parents to understand, as it affects the weight given to each type of report in court proceedings. As children grow older, their views and preferences carry more weight in court. For example, the preferences of a 15 or 16-year-old are likely to be given significant consideration, especially in cases where both parents are equally capable but have different ideas about what's best for the child. This is why the OCL's involvement can be so vital. It helps ensure that the child's voice is heard, even in the most contentious cases. To wrap things up, I want to emphasize the importance of the Office of the Children's Lawyer in family law cases in Ontario. Their role is not just about representing a child's interests in court. It's about ensuring that the child's voice is heard and that the court has all the necessary information to make informed decisions about their welfare. If you find yourself in a situation where the OCL might become involved, it's crucial to understand the process, prepare thoroughly, and work closely with your legal counsel to ensure that your child's needs are front and center. Thank you for joining me today on the Divorce Lawyers podcast. I hope you found this episode insightful and that it provided you with a clearer understanding of the Office of the Children's Lawyer. Remember, when it comes to navigating the complexities of family law, knowledge is power. If you have any questions or need further information, feel free to reach out to us at DivorceLawyers.ca. Until next time, take care and remember, you're not alone in this journey.